You might have heard of 4-day week on the news.
5-day week to 4.
From 5 days to 4.
And you might think that a 4-day week consists of 4 10-hour days. It doesn't. So then what is a 4-day week and how does it work? When answering these questions, it's important to learn why we work a 40-hour week in the first place. So let's go back in time just a little. The idea of a 40-hour week is less than 100 years old. During the Industrial Revolution, men, women, and children worked at factories 12 to 16 hours a day, and they worked 6 to 7 days a week. They had very little to no time off. One of the first people to propose an 8-hour workday was a British man by the name of Robert Owen. He coined the slogan, 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest. This was in the 1800s. Unfortunately, at this time, the idea did not take off. Because of overwork and little to no safety regulations, there were a lot of accidents. And if you got hurt or injured at work, that was it. You were just out of a job and there was no compensation. Slowly with time, regulations had to be introduced, but they weren't just handed over to the workers. These regulations were fought for. There's a reason why we celebrate Labor Day and May Day. Labor movements formed, they created unions, they went on strike, and they protested bad working conditions. The first person of influence to introduce a 40-hour week was Henry Ford. Now, some people argue that it wasn't because he was so nice, but he realized that people can't drive his cars if they were working all the time. First, he introduced $5 a day, a minimum wage of $5 per day for all of his factory workers. This was more than double the average wage at the time. Then, in 1926, he introduced a 40-hour work week, 8-hour work days, and 2 days off, also known as a weekend. People called Ford crazy, but he was smart. He attracted talent, his productivity increased, and he made more money. 14 years later, in the year 1940, the 40-hour work week finally became US law. Fast forward to today, well, a few years before the pandemic. According to this Gallup study, 23% of employees reported feeling burnt out at work very often or always, while 44% reported feeling burnt out sometimes. And you know what's sad? Burnout and stress have just become part of the job. It's become culture and normalized. Meanwhile, these symptoms directly lead to a whole host of heart conditions and mental health problems. I'm serious! Blood pressure problems, strokes, heart attack, erectile dysfunction, anxiety, depression, just to name a few. And at what cost? Burnt out employees are 63% more likely to take a sick day, have lower confidence in their job, and actively seek a different job. So it's really no good for the employers either. The pandemic happened and it really shook things up. People either lost their jobs or they quit. We started hearing about the Great Resignation, and quiet quitting became popular. Quiet quitting is when employees show up to work physically, but mentally they're disengaged. It costs a lot to find talent, train talent, and retain talent. But today, talent is tired. So where do we go from here? It's obvious that people are looking for more flexibility in their work and for more time to rest. When you have time, you can pursue a new hobby, you can look after your children or your parents, and you can finally take some time to rest. Innovative companies are seeing the value in this and they're trialing a 4-day week. So to answer finally the question, what is a 4-day week? A 4-day week is a shorter week. It's a movement that advocates for the 180-100 rule. That's 100% of the pay for 80% of the time for 100% of the productivity. Implementing a 4-day week is about creating a system that's efficient for employees to get their work done in 4 days instead of 5. Yes, a 4-day week is about giving employees an extra day off to rest and recharge, but really it's about getting the job done more efficiently. Usually this involves things like better time management, so less meetings throughout the week, getting rid of distractions, so maybe you check your emails only once a day, better sense of direction as a team, which creates more confidence in the employees, higher level of clarity on work tasks, delegating tasks to the right team members, and finally, and this is a very important one, utilizing technology, especially with the access that we have today to AI. Hands up if you use ChatGPT. Believe it or not, a 4-day week already exists for many of us. Either it expands over 5 days because work expands to fill the time available for its completion, or it's buried under many distractions.
Hey, do you have a second?
These sounds literally trigger my anxiety. Do we have any data on a 4-day week? Yes, many countries have trialed a 4-day week, including the country of Iceland. In 2019, they had 2,500 participants. This is one of the biggest trials in the world, and it was a great success. In that same year, Microsoft experimented with a 4-day week in Japan and their productivity went up by 40%. Unilever is trialing a 4-day week in Australia after positive results in New Zealand. There are many countries that adopted variations of a 4-day week, like in the UAE, Belgium, and the Netherlands. As of recently, we've had the biggest trial for 4-day week in the UK. 61 companies participated and almost 3,000 employees. Of the 61 companies, 92% are keeping their 4-day week. 39% of employees were less stressed post-trial, and then 71% had lower levels of burnout. That's huge! That's literally the problem we're trying to solve. The number of staff leaving companies dropped by 57%. Employers, you hear that? Wow! And revenue throughout the trial increased by 1.4%, so you can reap the benefits of a 4-day week without sacrificing money. A 4-day week has benefits beyond just work. For example, it can help bridge the gender wage gap because both parents will have more time to be at home with the kids. It's also better for the environment because we have one less day of commuting to work, less traffic jams because there's less people going to work all at the same time, and you can turn the electricity off in the office for an extra day. Final thoughts. In my humble opinion, a small fire has started, and that is the 4-day week. Just like the fire Henry Ford started back in 1926, with the 40-hour week. Innovative companies have already started adopting a 4-day week and they will have the first mover advantage. That's when you get an advantage for doing something first. Because companies that introduce a 4-day week see an increase in job applications, they get more attention from press and media, and their own employees are happier and more loyal to them. So then the fire of a 4-day week will grow and spread across industries and the rest of the world. Because when you and I go to apply for jobs, we will vote to win our time back by applying for jobs that offer more flexibility. Now you tell me, can you get your job done in 4 days instead of 5? Do you think a 4-day week will become mainstream? And don't forget to send this video to your manager. I hope you learned something new today, and if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And for now, goodbye.